Good morning, greetings, welcome back carnivores to another episode of Carnivore Confidential. Today I am still dealing with the fresh leg of pork that we did last week, but today the video is all about the chicharron, or the skin. So let's get busy, can't wait for this one. Now, what I want to do is I want to take the skin off, and the skin's going to be a separate video. I'm going to try and make something else I've never made before, chicharrones, which is just deep fried pork skin, correct? And so I'm just going to peel the skin off. Now, in order to make chicharrones, from what I understand, the skin has to be fairly devoid of fat, so that'll be another process that I guess I'll bring you along for when we do the chicharron video, to show you how we get all the fat off. There you have it, folks. Piece of pig skin that is going to be Ontario stamp. It is going to be chicharrones. At some future point, we'll try and get something going on for that. All right, so the last thing we're going to be dealing with from this fresh leg of pork is the skin. And I've got to do a little research, but I do know that I have to take almost all the fat off the skin. So that's the next chore, and we're going to get after that right away. So stick around. Here's what we've got to deal with. And I think just for ease, for my own peace of mind, I'm going to cut it into pieces that are more manageable. And pork skin obviously is not that easy to cut through, but the Excalibur gets the job done. I'm thinking the longer pieces might be easier to hold on to, so let's try. Again, this is a first for me as well, folks. I've never made this before, so let's give it a go together. So the goal is to remove all the fat, right down to the wood. So let's see if we can get that job done. All right, well, I did get that job done because I took some of the wood with me. Took some of the skin with me. All right, so here we are, right down to the skin. I'm not sure just exactly. I saw this done on a YouTube channel, and I'm going to have to go back and do some research for myself. But I think, if I remember correctly, you have to remove all the fat from the underlying skin, like so. And in some places, of course, the fat covering is quite a bit heavier than in others. Now, I always tell you not to saw, but in this case I am kind of sawing, because I'm trying to keep my knife as parallel as I can to the block, so that I can take as much of the fat off the top of the skin surface as I can. Now, from what I understand from chicharrones, or chicharrones, that you have to boil them, which makes sense because that also will render the fat off them. Oh yeah, see, this is coming off a lot easier now. And then after that, they're deep fried and salted and enjoyed like chips. It's a bit of a tedious job. But I don't like to waste anything. Like I said, I've got the ham hock on the barbecue downstairs with the femur bone smoking. That's going to be a pot of soup. All my trim bits over here are going to be sausages. Are going to be incorporated into sausages. My skin here is going to be chicharrones. Hope I'm saying that right. Please forgive me if I'm not, my Hispanic friends. Now, I'm quite sure my buddy Steve Aegis would love to try this for himself. Chicharrones, that is. So I challenge you to give it a go, Steve, if you like. You could probably find a piece of, probably find a piece of pork skin at a Chinese market the next time you come to town to visit your folks, that big Chinese market over there on Dundas Street. I'll bet you anything you could probably find pork skin in there. All right, I'm not sure if I'm gonna bother trying to take that any farther. So there we go, folks. All right, welcome back. Chicharrones. I spared you the trouble of watching me try and cut that into 2-inch squares. If you don't have a really sharp knife, you're kind of in tight for that one. It's very difficult to cut this stuff. The skin is very, very tough. Anyway, 2-inch squares it is. To the pot, we've got 1 cup of vinegar. This is a recipe now, not mine. The first time for me too. So 1 cup of vinegar, 1 tablespoon of salt, already in. 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns, already in. And 1 head or clove of garlic. And this crushed stuff, like 1 spoonful is about equivalent to, hey, I like garlic. All right, so now we are to add some canola oil, which I don't have a vegetable oil, and I don't know how much. It doesn't say. Believe it or not, the recipe does not say how much, so I am just winging it after I drop stuff on the floor. According to the recipe, to this, you add the chicharrones and bring to a boil while skimming the fat that rises to the surface. So let's bring to a boil, and I'll bring you right back. All right, so it's been boiling away for 45 minutes. Now I'm just going to turn it off, cool it completely, drain it, pat it dry, and then we have to do the drying process. It says on the recipe to do it in your oven at 200 degrees for 3 to 4 hours. I believe I'm going to use my food dry dehydrator. It doesn't go to 200 degrees, it goes to 170 degrees, but I think it will probably suffice. And I'm standing in my shadow, my shadow's blocking my shot. How about like this instead? There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to use my food dehydrator, and we'll bring you back when we get that going on. Ciao. All right, I've drained them, and the recipe didn't say rinse them, but I did rinse them because they had quite a heavy vinegar smell, and they're quite oily, which they still are. But I mean, what do you expect? It's pigskin, right? In the meantime, this stuff is going in the fridge to cool completely, and then I'm going to pat it dry further. I've already patted it dry, and then I'm going to put it in the food processor, dehydrator rather, probably overnight. So next step, onward and upward. All right, we're back. This has been in the fridge for an hour or two, and as you can see, it's a congealed lump of pork skin. And I'm going to take it apart, and we're going to dry it overnight and see what happens. But in the meantime, I got to pull it apart. So bear with me, and we'll fast forward through this. So we're just filling these vacant spaces up on my food. I keep wanting to call it a food processor. It's not a food dehydrator. Pardon me. But these guys are really gummed up and gummed together, as I thought they would be. Cut into 2-inch squares, or roughly 2-inch squares. It's a bunch of work. I'm not opposed to work, but I mean, you saw what it took to take the skin off the carcass, and then devoid it of fat from the carcass, denude it, and then we had to boil it off in a vinegar mixture, and now we're in the process of dehydrating. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fry them off. We're going to deep fry them and turn them into crispy little nuggets of deliciousness that you add salt to, and Bob's your uncle. So, all right, this is going to go under the lid for overnight. It's 7:30. I will take this off probably tomorrow morning. It'll be all crispy dry, and I'll bring you back tomorrow night to deep fry these and give us a taste test. Thanks for hanging out, and stay hungry, you guys. All right, it's 3 o'clock in the morning the next morning. I'm on my way to work. This is what we're looking at. I think I'm just going to leave them in here for the rest of the day. They're still, they don't seem to be dried out completely. And that's probably because my oven, or my dehydrator, only goes to 160 degrees. I was mistaken. I thought it was 170, but it only goes to 160. So I don't think it'll hurt them to leave them in there for the rest of the day. And we'll come home and deep fry them tonight and see what they taste like. All right, come on back for that. All right, fast forward 9 hours later. I'm home from work, and that's what we got going on. I transferred the bottom tray to the top tray, and now I'm just going to deep fry them and see what happens. So let's give that a go. Next step. All right, so like I said, we're frying up our first time ever batch of chicharron. It says to fry them until they're golden brown, and they are golden brown. And we'll throw a little this expensive salt on them. And away we go. Chicharron. Wow, look at them dance. That is amazing. That guy just exploded. I wonder if that was one piece or a couple. Kind of need two hands for this, and I'm holding onto the camera with one hand and trying to stir and everything else with the other hand. I think that was two pieces, but it sure jumped up there like a elephant ear. Sorry, I'm not centering this very well because I'm busy trying to watch what I'm doing and not looking at the monitor. My bad. Should be wearing a head mount. And they tell you not to overcrowd the pan, so I hope I didn't. Pretty cool the way they puff up like popcorn. And one more little shaky of salt. All right, folks. Chicharron. Hot. Very porky. I expect them to be crunchier, but maybe they'll get crunchier as they cool off. I don't know. Stick to your teeth a bit. Flavor's there. It's tasty. Was it worth it? Damn, I don't know. It was a long time. All right, folks. I guess that's a wrap for homemade chicharrones. It was a labor of love, that's for sure. A lot of work. Yeah, they are getting crunchier as they cool off. Worthwhile. A lot of work. I'd do it again, though. Hope you like what you see or saw. Please come back next Thursday for another video. I'm still working on my pork leg video, so next week's going to be another muscle that we took apart 2 weeks ago, or last week, and I'm going to deal with that again next Thursday at 6 o'clock. Thanks for coming by, and stay hungry, folks. Crunchy. See you next week.